Friends, hello. How's it going out there? Let's talk about stocks. What's happening here? It was an okay day. The market really didn't know what to do. Some things did good, some things kind of sold off here. Big Bear had a great day. This was fantastic to watch. Holding around this high 6, trying to get into this low 7 position. This is good day. So obviously, this quarterly was, like I've said, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but it was a bag of mixed emotions. I think for a lot of people, whenever something, like a quarterly comes out, something especially like what we just saw with Big Bear, I'm trying to, of course, first of all, I'm going to get all the comments, good, bad, negative, neutral, everything. But I'm still looking around, like, what are people thinking? What is the thought process out there with a lot of people, investors? And I would say generally a lot of people were disappointed that there wasn't a bigger quarterly, but the thing that saved the day here was that Big Bear made this announcement about acquiring this new company that's really, it's going to help them 100%. So this is, if you're willing to put in the time here, this could really do great things for Big Bear later on. So talking about the overall market right now, right now we're essentially just waiting for the government to open back up. Is that going to happen tonight, tomorrow? The papers are being signed. Senate, House goes to Trump. Trump's going to supposedly sign it. But these stimulus checks, this stimulus check thing is really blowing up. And now, this was a thing that started with the Doge thing. Like, oh, we're going to take money that we found that's been allocated, to other places, and we're going to send that to people. Well, that kind of fell through, but the thought started there, the notion of this, and now this has turned into, last week the Supreme Court said, hey, pay back the money with the tariff money. Trump said, well, we're going to use that money to give it to low-income families. Now, we don't know a lot of details about that. So if you're one of these people, like, I could really use $2,000 right now, obviously there's a lot of people that could use $2,000. Now, is this going to be for, what the government means for low-income families could vary, and obviously if you're filing with a spouse and kids, you're going to be, your chances are going to be a lot thicker to get, something like this. Now, is this going to go $2,000 a person to child? Obviously, it's so bare bones of, we're probably 6 months to a year from, I think, anything like this happening. I don't know, unless they really speed this up, but I could not even fathom that they're going to get these things out before Christmas, because I've seen some people say, like, oh, we're going to have these in a few weeks. Like, do you know how long it takes for the government to get stuff going? Not to mention, they were just shut down for over 40 days, and they really accomplished nothing. We're back at square one here. They still have to come up with this. So they're going to if they sign this thing, the government will be back open until like January 15th, and if they don't come up with something, then it could just shut down again. So, this is kind of, this is just what it is. It is what it is. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But, I'm hopeful. Right now, the media is holding Trump accountable at this point. So, I think Trump is using this as leverage, too, to say, like, hey, I'm not giving this money back to these countries, this tariff money. So I think that's kind of what he's trying to do here, which, great, good. Send it to people that need it. There's plenty of people that could use extra money right now, just for fixing the car. So I know that was a little politicsy. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be, for God's sakes, but that stuff does bleed into the market. And, the market, I'm pretty sure the market likes the thought of people getting money right now. So it likes the tariff money staying in the hands of America. That's what it likes. With that, we've seen the market just kind of, it's camel humping every day. We're just give and take. It does seem that Tom Lee is there's still plenty of time for the S&P to run to a 7,000 point range. We're about 150 points away. We're at 6,850. So, there's plenty of time for this thing to swing up into a 7,000 point range, even if it's December 31st during the day. With that, some stocks that, these are stocks that I really pay attention to. Some of these I don't talk about ever. Sometimes on the second channel, but Tesla, I'm actually going to talk about Tesla on the second channel, so you'll see that in the morning. But I'm completely obsessed with Tesla. Watching that, I think that's going to $500 or more next year. easily, especially what's coming down the pipeline with that. Applied Digital sold back down to a $26 position, which is what I was really thinking and hoping it would do, and it has. But still, I think that data centers are so being sought after right now. I mean, that's like, they're becoming so popular. It's kind of alarming right now how much and how aggressive the conversation is becoming right now with data centers. I mean, that's all I hear about right now. We went from AI to data centers, and obviously AI is very mixed up in that. But D-Wave, quantum computing, I mean, that stock ran, and now it's at a $26 position. Rich Tech is not getting love right now, but I'm still very much excited about Rich Tech. So, if you're flipping out about Rich Tech, obviously I get it 100%, but I'm still very much, Rich Tech is Rich Tech. They're unique. What's going on over there, I think is going to take a minute to happen, but if and when they get some kind of big deal, something starts to really unfold here, it could get chaotic over there. Open Door, look at Open Door. It's trying to get back to a $10 position. Who knows, it could climb more. Open Door, if you don't know, just to kind of give you a bullet point line here, they just came out with their quarterlies, and they actually weren't terrible. People, it was kind of like a Big Bear situation. They weren't fantastic, but they weren't like enough to make Wall Street happy. But for the retail investor, we were kind of like, okay, well, that's better than what I mean, I think a lot of us thought they were going to be like god awful, but they were actually semi okay. But too, with that, I don't. Open Door's got a lot ahead of it. It has got a lot to prove, and a lot of this obviously depends on economy, housing market. This 50-year mortgage thing. If they do this, what does this mean? Even if they do it, are people going to have houses to buy? Are we going to have another rate cut here in December? More than likely we will. But, how many rate cuts are we looking at next year to really get, affordable money into people's hands where people can take out loans? So that's, a lot of that's going to come up here with Open Door. Friends, I hope you are well. It is a very interesting time to be in the market. I bought a turkey today. Can you believe that? We're about to do the turkey thing again. So let's get into it and talk about Big Bear, talk about Palantir. I'm very bullish on these two stocks, 100%. So if you're looking for me to break these down and tell you not to buy them and run away and that they're going to dry up here, this is probably not going to be the conversation for you, but I do appreciate you being here as long as you have. So let's get into it and talk about it, talk some turkey. So there's two big things that happen here, and I've talked about this, but I cannot stress how important this is to me, because as an investor and someone, I'm not trying to like say like look at me, but any points, any tips like we can all share with each other as investors, I think is so important. And one thing that's really helped me with investing, gurus that I've learned from, people that I've looked to for advice and leadership with investing, I still do, for God's sakes. This is a game that's constantly changed, and I think we all have to work together to do well in this market. It's no one should be investing alone. And even if you don't have a human next to you, like a physical person, like look to people, look at what people are doing here. But I like to look at details. I like to look when CEOs talk, when they talk. And that's one reason, I talk about Alex Karp a lot, because when Alex talks, I listen. When Elon Musk talks, I listen. These are people that, wherever you stand with them politically, that's one thing. I get that. That's fine. But that's not what we're here talking about. We're talking about if we're trying to make money in the market, okay? So with those two people, they're very involved in Wall Street. They're very involved in what's going on with tech. They're very involved with what the future could hold with, tech, the broad view conversation of tech. So when these quarterlies got released here with Big Bear, revenue, okay, great. It's not terrible. It's not what we want, but it just meets in the middle of, okay, we'll take it. Okay. Right under 33 million. All right, great. Two things that happen here. Obviously, Big Bear acquired this Sage program, this company, this software. Okay, fantastic. Okay, well, it's great. They're allocating money back into the company, and this will slowly, bleed into quarterlies, I imagine, here more aggressively coming into next year. And two, it's going to set them apart from competition. But one thing that got said here in this log that was set out here by Kevin, the CEO, Kevin said something that was so important. I mean, these are breadcrumbs like you cannot believe. So he said this, big news here. Despite delays resulting from the government shutdown, we believe the potential for new business in the field of border security, that's one, and defense, that's two. Those are two different things. They're the same, but two different, they can lead to many different roads, remains strong. And we expect to see those opportunities, including accelerated spending resulting from the one big, beautiful bill. That right there is telling you, Kevin is telling you, okay? Now, obviously, when these CEOs speak, there's only so much they can tell you because the FCC is breathing down their back. I mean, Elon Musk has been in trouble in the past, if you don't know, because he's went on podcasts before and said some stuff that, like, the FCC was like, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't tell people to buy your stock, or you can't talk about upcoming deals. Like, you can't do that. Now, Elon has been in a lot of trouble in the past about this. So, and this was like 5-6 years ago this happened. But these are breadcrumbs right here. So that's just that, to materialize into contracts next year. Okay, BigBear.ai remains a very strong position to benefit from the important tasks delivering cutting-edge security technology solution to support national defense and national industrial base. Friends, it's not a guarantee, but it is a huge breadcrumb. And for people that are willing to just put $5, $10, $100 whatever it is in Big Bear weekly, this is the thing with Big Bear. We can sit here and go over candlestick charts. Like, if we get a little more momentum around 710, I think we can push easily to a 750. Yes, we're gonna have good days and bad days with Big Bear right now, because guess what? Big Bear still has a lot to offer. It's going to have days of acceleration. It's going to have days of sell-off. It's going to do this. This is 100% just as what is going to happen. But the real huge, big, thick dinosaur T-Rex rib bones, the meat on the bones that we're looking for right now, coming off the barbecue here, that is just meat falling off the bones, is what we're talking about with this big, beautiful deal. What we're talking about with these big deals that it seems to be that Kevin knows that are being talked about, that are being hinted about, that could be being worked on right now. I definitely believe there's stuff brewing. So imagine this world. Imagine somewhere next year, that Big Bear coming out of 2025, undoubtedly, yes, we're not coming out with quarterlies that are desirable, where we're just like, oh my God, these quarterlies are crazy. They're not terrible. And with that, Big Bear has acquired a lot of deals this year, a lot of different partnerships, different areas of revenue. Okay, great. We have that at least. That's a great start to an argument. All right. Now, if Big Bear can get into next year acquiring a lot more of the deals that it's seen this year, airlines, some other mixed up things it's had, but really diving into bigger contracts with the United States government, this is what could turn this into a very expensive stock overnight. This is what could, this is where the Cinderella story comes up, real fast here, where right now you're buying into a stock that is very much, a lot of people will, it's a very back and forth stock, where people are like, this is never going to amount to anything. It's a waste of time. I get why people say that, but I also get this too, being in the stock market as long as I have. I know the number one struggle for most investors out there, it's patience. Patience is a hard thing for, probably 98% of the people you will meet in life, but yet alone in the stock market. Okay. It's just what it is, and this is why so many people bash long-term traders. If you're investing in something for the long term, that's a solid investment, you're always going to win. You're always going to beat the other guy who's day trading, swing trading. Now, to say I am not against swing trading or day trading, I do that stuff myself. There's swing trades that I do swing trading all the time. I mean, there's trades I set up for a month or 2 months waiting for a certain little thing to pop, and then I execute it on that particular time. But I do believe that this is moment in time to say, hey, if you're willing to wait here on Big Bear, this could pay off. This could extremely pay off right now. So this is why I'm not really digging into a candlestick chart. I think the news, the breadcrumbs of what we're watching right now with Big Bear is so far so much more far just important right now. It's so much more important what's going on here, because I really do feel like Kevin's saying here, like, hey, there's things coming. We've talked with the people upstairs. We know some things. We're waiting on it. Okay. And this is why we just spent $250 million on this new software, because we know something is coming down the pipeline here. Okay. So really think about that. I don't want to lead anybody astray. God forbid, I don't want anybody buying something where they're going to waste their money. I don't want you doing that. But I do want to put you in a world of, imagine, a year from now, let's just say 6 months from now, something starts to happen. We hear whispers, and then something gets said. Big Bear releases, they just received the ultimate contract, okay? Maybe from the Golden Dome, maybe from border security, something like that. And then on top of that, maybe from this day forward to 6 months from now, you were buying a share, 5 shares a week, a month. Even for what I like to call blue-collared investor, someone who maybe puts $20 to $100 in the market monthly, weekly, whatever it be. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, maybe you've got 100 shares, 300 shares of Big Bear, roughly around $5 to $7, maybe $8 per share, wherever you're holding it at. And then Big Bear starts to go crazy. Maybe Wall Street starts to pay attention to Big Bear. These are things that are very real out there. When I look at Palantir, it's such an amazing thing, because you want everyone to experience a Palantir. And Palantir is rare. And this is not me saying that Big Bear is going to turn into Palantir, because it's not right now from what we could see. Palantir is unique. It's special. There's nothing like it right now. Palantir is Palantir, okay? But what I am saying, that there are other storylines, similar things that can and will take place to other stocks. And Big Bear could have one of those rocky moments here coming up in the future. So, just patience. Patience. I think that's the biggest word for Big Bear right now. And the reason why, let me clarify this, why I wrote "I'm out" on the thumbnail is because that was sadly one of the number one things I saw when looking at a lot of comments. People are like, you know what, I've put in the time with this, I'm done, I'm out. And I was like, and I feel like it's me at the back of the line, like trying to tell everybody, like, but look what they just said, look what Kevin said, don't go. Lord knows I'm not trying to keep anybody here. If you gotta go, you gotta go. But that's why I started off reading here what Kevin just said. It's almost like they're saying, hey, we can't tell you this is happening, but this is what we're looking into. If they're willing to put that in the quarterly report there, that is a pretty big statement, because what do they know? If they say that, they know people are going to hold that very serious. I am, I cannot tell you how many times over the past, I don't know, 10 years where I've followed CEOs saying things that later on, a year from then, 2 years from them, came true. There's plenty of stuff that Alex Karp has said last year that came true. Elon Musk said that came true. Anthony from SoFi said last year that is happening now. Listen to what these CEOs are saying. They're trying to tell you. They know stuff before it happens. And yes, there's only so much they can, tell you, because, the FCC is breathing down their back. All right, I will shut up about Big Bear, but I just want to encourage you. I really want, if you're down and out about Big Bear, man, don't be. Look at this stuff like it just hasn't popped yet, but there's something special that could happen. Yeah, I'm not trying to tell you to stay, but what I'm trying to tell you, if you're like I want to stay in it, but I need some encouragement. I'm truly confused right now. If you got to go, you got to go. But I want to bring that to your attention, because God forbid 6 months, whenever timeline from now, something happens with Big Bear and you come back and it's like, whoa, what happened? That's going to be a terrible feeling for people. That's going to be a terrible feeling. So that's just why I say that. Now, Palantir, you want to talk about some real arguing. Palantir is like the it is the Mecca center. It is the Times Square for arguing with investors. I am very much in the ball field, the camp here, whatever I'm trying to say, that Palantir is more than likely going to pass $200. Okay, now why I say that, it's definitely not because I think it's a valuation is there. It's not because I think well, they're getting all these, mathematically that's what they should be because they're getting all these deals. Obviously, Palantir is completely overpriced when we talk about market cap to mathematically, quarterlies, all this stuff, breaking it down, the real price of it. When, the famous comment that I see all the time on my channel and, just on any platform is, this should be a $50, $80 at the most stock. Yes, totally get that, understand that. But you have to understand that this is the most popular stock on Wall Street right now. So with that, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it incredibly every time. Today, and my God, look at what's going on right now. So if you were one of these people today like, well, it's sold off today, Mr. Big Mouth. Okay, well, guess what? You could have bought this stuff here. You could have bought Palantir at the beginning of the week for a very low price, and then you could have sold it yesterday when it went back up to essentially almost $94. Then today sold off to $81, and then guess what? Probably tomorrow or next week it will swing back up into the 190s. What you're watching right now is the day traders. You're watching the swing traders. They know what's going on right now, and this is just the gravity of what's going to continue to take place here, more than likely, as Palantir tricks everyone again, where it's like, oh, Palantir's struggling. Isn't this wild that we're saying Palantir's struggling around 180 when, like, 2 months ago, people are like, it'll never hit 180. It'll never go back to 180. That it'll never happen. So now with the situation that we're seeing right now is that probably what this give and take situation is right now is that as it climbs, it's going to sell a little bit and then catch, climb a little bit, catch. Once it sells, climb a little bit, sell, catch. Before we know it, I think Palantir could easily be back up in this 200, 210 position, okay? Now, I am and here's maybe the most bearish thing I'll say about Palantir. Once Palantir hits $200, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I think a lot of us at that point, well, most of us will all be in profit zone, beyond profit zone, unbelievable profit zone. And two, it'll just be a roller coaster ride to see, okay, well, who's buying it at 215? Who's buying it at 220? Palantir is still getting deals. And the next quarterly, the fourth quarterly to wrap up the year, they've already said, hey, we've already done some math on it. It's going to be even bigger than Q3. Great. By the way, there's this chunk of time before the next quarterly, so it could be even bigger. Who knows? Believe in hope. Believe in something good here. Dan Ives has said it best. Dan Ives says this is not about AI in the sense of technology. This is an arms race with tech AI. This is who can have the best software, who can have the best AI, who is willing to spend the most amount of money to achieve the biggest and best security with AI. Hence, goes right back to BigBear. BigBear has just spent $250 million to push their technology. You really want to know what I think about BigBear? I think BigBear knows something. I think BigBear knows what's happening. Do you really think BigBear, struggling to hit their finances right now, is going to spend $250 million on this software they just acquired, this company they just acquired, and then hint at border security contracts, hint at defense contracts? They know what's coming. They know they're going to get more deals. They know something's coming. They know they're going to get that money back and then some, okay? This is why this is so important to pay attention to the minute details of what these CEOs are saying. Listen to them. Listen to the CEOs. They are hinting at things that are coming up here. So I don't care about these these candlestick charts and all this stuff, they're fun, yes. But these stocks more than likely are going to continue to move up. Palantir more than any, because it has plenty of argument. It has more reason to go up than it does to sell off, for God's sakes. There's what the person who's betting against it doesn't want you to say. Give me a break, $100. This thing's more than likely going to keep climbing until there's a reason not to buy it, until there's a reason for this to sell off. No. I don't know, I feel like I'm in court. I feel like I'm a lawyer now. Is it expensive? Yes, it's expensive. But like Dan I says, this is an arms race with technology. And there's going to be a winner. There's going to be a lot of winners. But Palantir is definitely going to be one of those winners, what they're doing right now. They have so much money to where they might start buying up other companies. Big Bear is already in this small, minute, fine place that it's at right now, that it's not a very big company. They don't have a lot of money in the sense of tech. They're not getting $250 million deals. That's a lot of money for Big Bear to spend. They just spin it. So they must feel pretty flippin' confident that something's coming up here. If I spend $200 on something to make my business better, I am assuming what I'm buying is going to make my business better. If I buy a better microphone, guess what? I expect that microphone to really make my voice sound crisp, better, to bring in more people. I don't know. Use that analogy. Friends, I wish all of you the best of luck. Really think about this stuff, what's going on here. I think we're on to something here. It's the breadcrumbs, man. It's the breadcrumbs of what's going on here. I feel good about this. I really do. Take care of yourself, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.